Hi, you clicked onto today's tropical tidbit for Wednesday. Over here in the Atlantic, we got the remnants of Julia spinning up out here. We got Lisa dying to sheer and dry air, and we got Invest 95L in the Caribbean over here, starting to get better organized today steadily, getting more of a spin now north of western Venezuela. This is continuing to come westward. This will probably try to become a named storm by the time it gets towards Central America over here, and we could see it wind up getting named Matthew while it's north of Panama over here. And our first problem with the system is going to be when it comes toward the coast, whether it's going to come in and play around with Central America and kind of wander around in here and then get drawn north, or whether it'll kind of hit the coast and then get drawn right up back over the water and spend most of its time over water before getting into this area, and that would end up in a much stronger storm if it comes in and then fusses around with the land, which is something the Canadian shows. You might get a much less a weaker and broader system coming into this area instead of a stronger, perhaps major hurricane that could develop if this were to be able to stay more over the warm waters of the Northwest Caribbean. And yesterday I was thumbing through some storms that people were bringing up that had similar tracks to this, or what this is supposed to be, coming out of the Caribbean and going into the eastern Gulf of Mexico, or similar situations like that. And one of the ones that stood out to me when I decided to check some of these out was Hurricane Isabel in 1964. And for the life of me, when I decided to put these on here, it was Joe Bastardi who turned me on to the Plymouth State Reanalysis site. They have an excellent site there full of maps, and just so happens that right before I decided to record this video, I found out that Joe Bastardi on his AccuWeather video today had just put up some Plymouth State maps of Isabel himself, and that was an unintentional coincidence. If you saw them there, you're going to see them here again. I apologize for that. But the message is the same here, and that probably illustrates how important this is, that people are bringing this up. This is Hurricane Isabel coming out of the Caribbean over here in 1964, early October, formed in the Caribbean, kind of diddy-bopped in here, and then came, got scooted northeast across Florida. This actually made landfall as a 2 in here, not a 3, and then went up into North Carolina over here as a tropical storm. If we look at what happened on October 14th, 1964, you notice the big trough in the Gulf of Alaska. Notice the ridge building into the west and this cut-off trough that develops over here over the southern states as the trough lifts out to the north and you get the jet stream going by. You can see the storm developing near western Cuba. We go out to the 15th, you can see it approaching South Florida, cut off in here. By the 16th, cut-off digs into the west of the storm, it crosses Florida, and then watch what happens by the 17th. The storm gets phased into the upper low and it gets drawn north right into North Carolina. And this was a pretty decent storm for the southeastern U.S. over here. Now if we go back and look at the 14th, again, see the cutoff over here, trough in the Gulf of Alaska, and the storm sitting down here. If we go and look at the GFS day 6 forecast over here, notice the trough over the Gulf of Alaska, ridge into the west, and see the cutoff low developing over here as the trough leaves on the ensemble mean, and here's the storm near western Cuba, and you can see the similarities here are actually quite striking. Not perfect, and they never are, but it is an analog that's worth paying attention to over here. And if we go out to October 16th, 1964, the cutoff in here, storm getting drawn and phased northward. And if we go to day 7 on the GFS ensemble mean, you can see the cutoff low over here, and it shows lingering low pressure, but the storm on the ensemble mean is actually getting drawn north into this area over here, across Florida and into the Carolinas over here. So you can see the similarities in this kind of a pattern. We got the negative PDO in the Pacific that sets up the trough here. You get the ridge here. You start pumping the heights over the top. The trough gets left behind, and you draw storms up out of the Caribbean, and you get all sorts of messy stuff going on. And we'll have to see how this goes. I still think this is a Eastern Gulf primarily problem. We could still see it try to come up a little farther east, and we'll have to see if we actually get it in the Gulf of Mexico. Still some things to work out, still some kinks. See how far west this gets before it gets drawn north, how strong it is, how long it would linger over Central America. And the folks in Central America do have to worry about this for excessive rainfall, because when this comes in, it may take its sweet time getting finally picked up by the trough and drawn north. So this is something we're going to have to be watching closely all throughout this area of the world, and you can see this whole area lighting up like I've been warning about in this pattern, and you can see what's happening now. You've cooled all the water. Look at these clouds over here in the central Atlantic. These are indicating very cold water. After Igor left, you're focusing the upward motion in here. This is a dangerous pattern, And it's not going to be over after Matthew. If we go out over here and look at day 15, day 16, ensemble mean 500 millibar heights and anomalies from the GFS, you see the trough still over Alaska with the cold PDO. You got the ridge still building over the top in Canada, and notice the sagging height lines in here. This is indicating trough splitting away and storms likely getting drawn northward out of the Caribbean over here into this area, and this is still going to be the primed focus for where action is going to be in the tropics, and we're setting up a dangerous pattern for October. Over here you can see the low pressure still sitting in the Caribbean by day 16 on the NAIFs, and all the precipitation on the 11 to 15 day mean as we head into mid-October. So stuff to watch for. Dangerous pattern for October for the United States and the Caribbean countries. It's not over yet. The season is going to go out with a bang. Pretty hefty end game on the table here, so we're going to have to keep our eyes open, and we'll see how the Matthew situation evolves. Alright, that's it for today. Thanks for watching.